Sorry, every time you do that, Miss Katie, it just throws me off. But anyway, so I'm Gillian. I don't know if you guys have had a chance to see the video from last week, but first thing I wanted to do is I wanted to apologize like so much. I had it on my schedule to do an ASL, an ABCs quiz and a numbers quiz, but by the time the weekend came up to me, I had to go to a wedding dress shopping with my friend all the way in Tuscaloosa. I had to go deal with that and then had to drive back, and then on Sunday I had to work, so my whole weekend went like this, and I just did not have time to get it, and I apologize. I am really, really like trying to hope my weekend's not this busy. So I'm like, I will have videos. I will try to double the videos because I felt so bad when I realized it was almost Tuesday and I still hadn't done anything. So please be on the lookout. I'm really hoping I can get there. It's a progress. I'm moving. If some of you didn't hear, Katie and I were talking about that. I have a house. It's my first time buying a house. So I'm having to go through that whole first time moving things that's actually like staying for good, and it's constant stress. So that is also a thing. But anyway, so we're just gonna go on ahead. I want to real quick review. So here's going to be some review for ABCs and numbers. So even though we didn't have a quiz, we're still going to do some reviews before we go into new information because I do feel that it's important. All right, so we're going to start with our ABCs. And I know a lot of you have your screens down. I get it. I do. And if you don't want to like show your screen in your face, you can. It's just that I might not be able to pick up and see if you're actually doing something, like if there's a mistake or if you're confused. You're more than happy to type in the chat box to me or to the group, and I usually can see a little bit faster. So if you have any questions, please go that way. Please do that. I'm more than happy to answer anything. So we're going to real quick review the ABCs. I'm going to go a little bit faster since we already learned it last week, and I'm just almost kind of going to be saying them as I go. So, all right. So we're going to start with our A, and then B, C, D. So D's your pointer finger and it's pointing up. So not your pinky, but yeah, no worries. Everyone does it their own way. So D, E, I have to remember not to mess myself up on the letters, but E. And what you want with the E is you really don't want to do this. This is another thing I emphasize. Like you don't want your fingernails of your fingers and your thumb to be so far apart. You want them kind of closer. I want to go full. I have seen some people who go full. But to me, that kind of looks like a small O. So I go a little between. It's very small, but like that. So E, F. Oh, no worries. You're good, Miss Catherine. So then F, G. So for those of you, if you weren't able to recognize, it's almost like you're doing a little pinch. You're not doing full, and then you turn it sideways. So G, yeah, G. H is the same thing, but with two fingers. Then I. And so I is your pinky, yeah. And then J for right-handed people is you're going to go out. J. If you're left-handed like me, you're going to go inward. So that's why I make an emphasis on which hand you use. Because to you, it's going to look out for right-handed people, but for lefties, it is inward. And then we have K. So K is a really hard one. And if you saw the videos, you still could get confused. So you start with your V. You want your middle finger to go like slightly forward. And keeping it slightly forward, you put your thumb between the two fingers. It's a very not comfortable position if you're not used to it. So K, L, M is three fingers over the thumb. N, then O. Okay, so P is K, but down. So you'll go back to your K. So K, and then you'll have it flipped down. And you don't stress yourself on having your arms up. You can relax, be as comfortable as possible. I do it so you can actually see it, but when you're signing, you're very much at a comfortable space. Like your square, this is probably something that's good to know, is for your signing square, it's pretty much from your shoulders to like your stomach is you signing in this little square. You don't have to sign up to the top above your head, really down below your knees. No, it's the comfort space. So it looks wonky. It's just because I'm really trying to make sure you can see everything. So we did P. So Q. Q is again the pinching. Now it's down. So Q. And then we have R, like fingers crossed. S is the same thing as A, but with your thumb across your fingers now. S. T. U. V. Sorry, I'm skipping ahead. W. X is like a hook. Y. And then Z. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to, well, actually I won't. I'll do that in a separate video so you guys can actually practice that way. It gets a little hard when I try to do these little test quizzes during the videos because some of you can't. It's awkward responding. So I'll worry about those later. Okay, so for numbers, we'll go over those and then we'll start some new information. So numbers 1 through 10 are pretty easy. You can actually, all of your numbers you can pretty much do on your hands until you get to about 1,000. Then you have to use 2 hands. So 1, 2, 3 is thumb out. 4, 5, 6 is going to be it's going to be what we usually do as a 3. And then 7 is your ring finger touching your thumb. And you still want to keep your pinky up, so it's the ring finger. So this one, not the middle one, but the pinky. I mean the ring. Then 8 is your middle finger. Then 9. And then 10, you'll shake it. Okay, good. And then when we move on, we'll do 11. 11 is flicking your finger up. 12 is flicking 2 fingers up. 13 is like that weird beckoning, but with your thumb sticking out. 14 is the same thing, but no thumb sticking out. 15 is the same thing, but with now your thumb sticking out. 16 can go 2 different ways. You can do 16, you can shake it. You just shake a 6. Or you can do, and I'm trying to, my lighting's a little weird. I apologize if you can't see. You can just brush your pinky up against your thumb, like kind of bounce it back and forth. 16. Most people feel comfortable doing this until you've been a little more comfortable with signing because it's just an easier thing. But I've actually noticed I start doing this one more. And then it's the same thing for 17. You can shake or bounce. 18 is shake or bounce. 19 is bounce or shake or bounce. And then 20 is you're tapping your thumbs. 20. And so 20 through really any number above. What the basic way you can do it is you can go 2, 1, 2, 2, 2, 3, 2, 4. So you don't have always a fancy sign for them. 2, 5. There are a few 20s like 21, 23, and 25 that have their own fancy sign. But basically, if you can't remember that one, when in doubt, just do 2, 1. They'll know what you're saying. 21, 22, 23, 24, that. So 21's special sign is 21. It's 1 pointed up and then your thumb's bouncing. So 21. 23 is you're going to have your 3 up, but you bounce this, your middle finger. And actually the reason for that is there is some people that when they're signing their numbers like 20 in their 20s, they will do 25, 25, 25. They'll do just these as their 2. I've seen that with a couple of kids. Some do the 2, some do this as 2. So like 29, 28. I'm more used to doing the 2s because that's how I learned, but that is another route. I also apologize. I have dogs. I have 2. One's very yappy and one's got really deep bark. If you hear that, just ignore them. If you need me to repeat something, just message me and I can repeat it again. They're very noisy and I try to keep them quiet. But so then the last one is 25. So 25 is, you're going to stick your whole hand out and your middle finger and your ring finger are going to bounce. 25, 25, 25. Perfect. And so numbers 1 through really 20 through like 99, you just do that same bouncing of like 87, 92, 54. It's that kind of same bounce. You just do that. For anything like 30, 40, 50, 60, a lot of times they'll just do 30 back into the 0. 30, 40, 50, 60. But that's pretty, you can kind of pick up on that, 6 to the 0. Okay, then we have 100, which is, you'll have your 1 and you'll back into a C. So 1C, 1C. And then what you would do for a problem would be, if you'd be like 232, that's how you would say it. So 232. It's like how we say, we really extend it out. Then we have our thousands. So this is where you do have 2 hands. And I will have mine much more elevated than it would normally be, so you can see. So 1,000, 1,000. So you'll just do the 1 and then that's your 1,000. 1,000,000 is 1 tap, tap. So it's 2 taps instead of 1. And you just basically add it kind of the same way. You know, picture, okay, 2,342, things like that. So it's just adding and adding on other things. I'm sorry, I'm using my signs, and if it's throwing you off, I can try to not sign while I'm talking, unless it's actual signs you can see. I've been with my kids today, so I'm very much been in full sign mode. So that happens a lot for me, and I apologize if it distracts you, but you're here to learn it. So maybe it'll be nice. You can have more exposure to it. All right, so now we're going to get to some new information. So I wanted to teach you, first off, like the most basic thing you guys would probably really enjoy to have that you know you could do, and that is to say, my name is. So one of the cool things about an ASL is that when you're signing, you don't sign each word. You're not going, my name is. No. I mean, you can, but that's a different form of sign language. There's actually like 3 different kinds, and I think there's even more than that. They're just not very well known. You have American Sign Language. Then you have what's called Signing Exact English, which is C. That's actually used a lot of times in public schools when they have deaf kids, and it's to help make the connections with English and ASL. It's not the greatest, but I see its purpose. And then there's the other one that's called like Pigeon, and that's where you almost like your finger spelling everything. It's very complicated, and we're just not even gonna worry about that. But so when you're signing sentences, a lot of times you don't have to worry about those is's and r's and like am. You know, you don't have to really worry about those kinds of things. They're not very. It's technical and it's important in English, but in ASL it's not needed. So to say my name is, you would go my, which is you have your full hand padding here, my, and then name's going to have, both hands are in the form of H's and they're going to tap on each other. So your dominant hand's going to tap on top of your non-dominant. So my name, and then you would finger spell your name. So Gillian, Gillian. Sorry, I have to do it faster. I'll mess up. And that's how you would just say that's how you would say your name is my name, Gillian. And one thing that's interesting also is that when you meet a deaf person, sometimes they will ask you if you have a sign name. And I'm only giving you guys information about that because I will tell you, I do not have the right to give it. I'm not deaf. I was not born and raised in the deaf community. And I still think that is a very personal thing that a deaf person has to give you. And so what that is a sign name is something that when there's so many people have different names and or have similar names, and you're not wanting to always finger spell your name, like saying, Gillian is working with math or blah, blah, blah. So deaf people give a name that's like just a sign name, a short sign that's used for the name. And a lot of times it's very well connected with your personality. So my sign name is Gillian, and it's a G on the cheeks. And the reason is because I received it because my cheeks get really red when I talk. doesn't matter where I am. And so I've received that. It's a nice little touch about myself, but sometimes whenever my coworkers ask me, well, why do you have it as a G? And I have to explain my cheeks get really red. They go, oh yeah, now I see it. I'm like, thank you for noticing my really red cheeks. So that is something that what I think is so interesting is you don't receive your sign name until a little bit later in life. And when I mean later on in your years. Like, it's not given to you when you're born. You kind of wait a couple months, and they'll kind of see, like, their parents will see their personality and be deciding, well, what goes with it. And I love seeing how some kids receive their sign, asking some kids and some coworkers how you receive your sign name, because it has some sort of form of a connection with your personality, and it's super cool. But some people will ask you that if you ever do come across a deaf person and they're very not shy, they're very friendly, they will probably ask you, oh, if they see you saying like my name and then you spell it, they'll go, sign name? I guess the second thing they'll ask you is probably sign name. Now, not all, but some will. And so that's just something if that you came across, you know what to do. Oh, I'm so glad we have someone else who has her sign name as well. When you're able to show up, I want to see your sign name. That's just all I'm going to say. Can't help it, but because, man, I just think some sign names are cool. The only thing that sucks is when you have a lot of people who have the similar sign name, and a lot of people get theirs over their heart, and it gets very confusing very fast. I'll be like, wait, which one are we talking about? And if they're the same, like their names are like the same, like Alex, I'm like, okay, you're gonna have to spell the last name out too. And it's just sometimes the teachers, everyone's just like, oh my gosh, you're gonna have to change this. But so my name, Gillian. Then now what we're gonna do, I think, and Teddy, probably, I'm gonna put you on the spot, sir, but did we go over the days of the week? Do you remember? I'm trying to remember. You can either go like this or you can go like this. Okay, perfect. So we'll review those real quick. And for those of you who haven't seen, don't stress. Miss Katie always puts like a nice little set number, like time stamp next to all the things, so you can go back and check those later. So we'll start with Monday. And so Mondays, you're going to do your M, and you're going to have it facing towards you, and it goes in a circular motion. So Monday. Then we have Tuesday, which is your T. Same thing. You face forward and you circular it. I said that very weird. I apologize. Then Wednesday is the W, face forward or facing you, circular. Thursday is going to be your U. I think it's supposed to be a connection with the H, but it might be the U as well. I don't really know. I just know that's what I was taught. So Thursday. Then Friday is the F facing you, Friday. And then Saturday is the S facing you. So Saturday. So Sunday has two different ones, and that's why I picked it last. Again, excuse me. So Sunday can be Sunday or Sunday. I always preferred this Sunday, but either one works. So Sunday. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to give you guys description like for time, since that's kind of a good connection with like days of the week. So I can explain like the signs for minute, second, hour, day, week, those. So we're going to start with a second. And so second is very like, well, you have your non-dominant palm sideways, and your dominant hand's going to have a pointer finger. You're going to place like this, and you gently move your hand back and forth. And that's supposed to be like that very slightness of the hand moving. And so the second, I've seen minute a few different ways, and so it really is kind of whatever you feel comfortable with. Minutes longer I've seen, but I have also, and this is what I usually prefer because it's a little bit easier, especially when you're saying we have 5 minutes left, is they'll have your non-dominant point having a pointer finger, and you'll put your dominant hand on top in whatever number you're saying. So 15 minutes, 5 minutes, kind of like shake it like this is what's left, because the sign for left is left, like left. So 5, 6, 7, that. I've always preferred that just because with the seconds and the minute, it can get confusing. And there are different signs. So there could be a different sign, and you might see it if you do come across, you're talking to a deaf person and they use a different sign. The best thing you can do is just say, I don't know what that sign is. Can you spell the word? And that will help you. Hopefully. So then we go on to hour. So hour is again having our non-dominant hand sideways and in the same position as our seconds and minutes, but now you're going to go in a full circular motion. Hour. So that's hour. And then we have, so like you have 2 hours to work on your paper. So that. Okay, and then days. Sorry, I have to like go through my whole catalog to make sure like I'm putting them in order, because I will jump. And if I jump, just say, hey, you missed one, because I can do that. So we have day. So day is you're going to have kind of your D. I mean, it's a pointer finger either way. And I might lift this down just a little so you can see. So if you can't see my face, that's okay. Your non-dominant hand is going to be fully sideways. And your dominant hand, you want to have like your, and you'll go day. So that's like, so this is the sign for day. So interesting. I don't think I taught this to the other class, but so the sign for like all day, like you're going to be working all day, is you have the same position, but now your palm is open and you go all. So that's all day. And then the sign for week. Back up a little. I hate looking like that because I keep feeling like I have to slide under so you can see me. So week is non-dominant hand is having the palm facing up, and your dominant hand's again in that same pointing position. And this is just because it also represents the 1. So, you know, when you're talking about a week, you're talking about 1 week. It's not 7 weeks. You're just like, it's normal to say a week is 1 week. So you'll go 1 week. So week. Pointer finger sideways. I'll turn it sideways so you can see. And you just slide it across. So you have it sideways yourself, and then you go like that. 1 week. Perfect. Then we have month. So month is a little awkward to do. And if you don't understand, just say something and I will try my very hardest to make sure you can see it. So you're going to have, again, your non-dominant hand with your pointer finger up. Your dominant hand with your pointer finger up. And you want your like closed fingers facing you, but have your non-dominant facing out. So they're like opposite. And you're going to have your dominant hand come up behind your non-dominant and go backward down on the back of your finger like that. That's a month. So you can do 2 months, 3 months, that. I've never liked month. Won't deny. It's a weird sign to me. Can't hide it. Don't know why. Some people are like, that's not a weird sign. I'm like, I don't know. That's how I feel. But so that's month. So year is, again, it's big. So you have your non-dominant hand in a fist, dominant hand in a fist. You're going to start with them on top of each other. And then your dominant hand is going to go forward in a circular motion completely around your non-dominant hand. So I'll come sideways so you can see it. So year. Perfect. So year. So how are you guys feeling on that? Are we feeling good? Do we need to go over them again? I mean, it's really how you guys are feeling. They're little interesting signs if you're not used to them. So are we feeling good, down? How are we feeling? You can either type or you can just give me a thumbs up or a thumbs down. Okay. Had someone ask if we can do a quick review. We can do a quick review. That's easy. And then we can move on to some more information. I will fair warn the newbies. You're not really newbies. I didn't see you last week. I do really do a content heavy class where I give a lot of signs in one day. And that's just because I'm trying to give you as many signs as possible in a short amount of time. So if you feel like there's just a lot, don't stress on having to memorize it all, because Katie does record the videos, and I also, hopefully, I'm trying to be a better ASL teacher. We'll have videos of myself doing quizzes that can help you guys practice. So no worries if you're not getting it all in one go. So we'll go back to second. So second, very little. So you'll have your palm sideways, and your dominant finger going on it second. Then minutes, more dramatic. And then we have hour. And I'm turning mine sideways so you can see me going in the circular motion, but most of the time you just keep your hand sideways. So hour, hour. Day. Am I freezing on you guys? Am I freezing? I can sometimes see, like, it looks like I'm freezing. If it is.
Yeah, it's freezing a little bit every so often.
Okay. If I get to the point where I'm completely stopped, I will try to stop and I will go back, because sometimes internet is not trustworthy, especially when you have a family of 5. We're all on it. So just let me know if I look very choppy and you can't see or you're not understanding. No worries. I can go back. Always can. So day. Now remember, for just day, you want to have almost the deposition day, and then you have all day. Then we have week. So palm up, week. Month is that hard one again. So non-dominant. So you want your non-dominant facing outward, like your fingers facing out. And your dominant hand's going to be facing in. So almost like you can touch your chin with your fingers, kind of like that. And then you'll go across the back of your finger. It's just such a weird, it's so hard to do if you're not sure. So having your non-dominant pointing outward, like the back of your palm should be facing you. And then your dominant hand, the palm should be facing away from you. So like that. And then we have year. So year. Alrighty. Okay, so we ready to learn some more? It's going to be still time related, but we're going to get down some specific ones. Perfect. So first one I want to show y'all is like today. So the sign for today is you're going to have both hands in the shape of a Y, have palms up, and you're going to shake, you're going to bounce them twice. Today. Now, if you do it one time, that's the sign for now. So it's always a funny joke with my high school ASL teacher. She would say, well, you better be careful and make sure you see what sign I'm saying. So it's not like I'm telling you that today is a good day or saying now. Like I can't even explain how she did it, but it was such a funny joke that she would be like, you got to watch it. Am I saying I'm now like I'm angry, or am I saying today? And so today, the bouncing. Tomorrow is you're going to have your thumb like on the corner of your lip, basically. And you're going to go tomorrow. And so one thing I want to interject and explain, I apologize if I'm explaining a lot. I just want you to understand the meaning behind it, because it does clarify things for later signs. So anything that's going to happen in the future, like tomorrow, next week, next year, next day, will be in the front of you, because you're like in the sense of you're walking towards your future. You're not there yet, but you have it's in the front. It's going to happen. And then present, that's why like day, week, we're here, because that is something that's happening now. And then anything that's happened in the past is actually going to be behind you. And so that's, we follow in how we are instead of time now, which I think is such a cool factor of ASL. But so we have tomorrow. Yesterday is going to be, your thumb is again on the corner of your lip, but now you're going to go backwards to your ear. So yesterday. Some people do it with their fingers on Y to emphasize that this is yesterday, but yesterday, either one works. Then we have, let's see, so we have today, yesterday, tomorrow. Okay, we'll go into the weeks. So next week is you're going to have your palm in the same motion that you would have for week. Finger goes across, but now it's going to loop forward. So next week. So you can see it next week, like that. So you're just going to go forward. And that's next week, because that's the coming up. That's not happened yet. So next week. And then last week is going to be last week. So you'll go back, and it's that movement. So you're doing the same week thing, but it does the back. So good. All right. And the thing that's cool is that you can, for like saying 3 weeks, anything that's kind of a simple number, you can say 2 weeks ago, 2 weeks ahead. You can just kind of add that to. You can say 2 weeks, but you can also just say 2 weeks. So that's either options. And then we have next month. I don't really like the signs for next month and last month because they do get very confusing, especially when you're having to do that down motion. So next month is the same position as month. And now you're going to go next month, next month, next month. And then last month is last month, last month. So it's again that same motion of you are going backwards for the past, going forward for future. So that means that next year is next year, next year. You don't have to do that full loop forward. No, you just go next year, next year, next year. And then last year's that same kind of thing. Last year, last year. So how are we feeling on that? It's kind of, I feel like it's very easy because they're very similar. It's just making sure to add that specific day sign. Oh, and then of course the sign for time is time. It's very easy. I always find it funny because my kids get mad at me as I have my watch on my left wrist when I'm left-handed. So I always point here and they'll look at me and they go, but your watch is here. Like you need to be tapping on your watch. And I'm just weird. I grew up in a right-handed family. So I've always saw watches being on your left wrist. And I thought that was normal. Apparently it was not. So I get yelled at often from my kids because I do this. And they're like, no, why do you have a watch on the wrong hand? I'm like, and there's like, that's whatever. So time. And then I'm trying to think of other time. Let me make sure I can check. Okay. So let's see. I'm thinking of other time. I'm always worried I'm going to forget one. If y'all can think of one, either type it or let me know. I'm trying to remember. Let's see. We got this year. Well, not this year, but oh, Siri. Sorry. I have my iPad up because that's where I keep my notes, and she somehow heard something that sounded like her name and she tried to speak. But yes, Teddy, I think you're trying to, I see you're trying to speak.
How do you show time of day?
So like
Like,
what, oh, okay, perfect. So like, how would you say the time? Okay. So what you can do is there's a couple of things. My personal favorite, I won't lie, is I will tap on the time and I will go time. Like if it's 11, I'll go time 11. You can do time 11. I just like slamming my, I don't know what it is, but I like doing boom, done, boom, and then done. So you have your non-dominant hand. You act like this is your clock. Your non-dominant hand is your clock. That's where the face is. And your dominant hand is the one who shows you what you're doing. So you do boom, 11:30. And most of the time, you don't have to always say if it's in the afternoon, in the morning. Oh, that's some time once. Oh, thank you, Teddy. Now I can remember to add more. So the thing that's really important for ASL is context. And this, I think I went over this in the last meeting, is that for like example, the letter F and the number 9 are the same number or the same sign, but context related is going to tell you which one it's going to be. Like if they are finger spelling a word to you, like they were talking about something and they're finger spelling like falcon, you're not going to go 9ALC. You're not going to do that. You're going to pick up, okay, they're spelling a word. And then if it's a number, you pick up on that. So it's very much, you pick up on what the conversation is saying. Now, if you had to be specific, you can use the signs for like morning and afternoon. So morning, I think this one's so funny to me, and I'll explain why a little bit, so morning is going to be, again, this is like your palm to show, like your whole day is like right in this area. So morning is you're going to start very wonky. Your non-dominant hand is the same sideways position. Your dominant hand is coming up below your non-dominant hand with your palm facing up. And you're going to go morning, morning. So that's morning. And the reason I laugh at that joke is because at that sign is because the sign for, like, if you're saying good morning, so you have good, good, good. So good morning. And what makes me laugh is I always think about how it just looks like I'm saying good. And then, you see some people that always go like, oh, when they're angry and not using nice fingers. I just feel like it's what it looks like. And I just laugh because it just looks like I'm saying good. I'm going to be giving you a not nice finger right now. So good morning. And then afternoon is the same, hands right here. And now you're going to have your hand, this is such an awkward position. Your elbow is now right at your finger. Now your palm is facing outward. You're going to go afternoon. So I'm going to turn sideways so you can see it. So afternoon. You just go forward. So you just guys keep going forward. Your palm almost looking like you're about to tap someone's shoulder. So forward. So that's afternoon. So you can say good afternoon. Night. So, well, here, let me do afternoon real quick. Oh, that's a good one, Miss Katie. I see what you said. So afternoon, one more time. I'm going to try to do it forward. I'm hoping you can see me a little bit better. I'm going to back up. So here's my non-dominant hand. Dominant hand has elbow on top of, and my hand is going forward. So afternoon. And that's because, and you would think it would be this way, but really most people use it this way, is because the way that it's almost like not a sundial, but sort of a sundial. This stuff's going to be in the later afternoon, like later in the day, like almost closer to night. This stuff's more in the morning. Afternoon's in the middle. So afternoon. So then we move on to night. Night is your non-dominant hand. And then your dominant hand is going to come on top of it. Night. And if you do that and then you come inward, that's English. So English, night. And I love it because I will mistakenly use that sometimes. I'll be too focused on what I'm saying and I'll go English and they're like, really good English. And they're like, no, that's not right. I'm like, oh, wait. Good night. And they're like, yeah, there we go. So night. If you were to say, like Miss Katie said, soon is going to be that F. And you're going to have your your pointer finger and your thumb tap on your chin. Soon. And a lot of times when you have it, your lips are almost pursed, like soon. Like soon. Like you're almost like saying it. That's how it's kind of interesting. I always thought that was so cool how they did that, especially for those who are like profoundly deaf, like have not ever really been exposed to language and understanding that like how you would move your lips to give to spell out soon, but they would still do the pursing. And that could be just from seeing exposure of hearing people and seeing it, and they might have had therapy on reading lips, all that kind of stuff. But still, that's a whole complicated ball of mess that I will not get into because you guys will be like, oh my gosh, I think my head hurts now and I can't do this. So let's go over what we've gone through. I know I gave a lot. So we'll start back with today. So today is the Y's bouncing. Today. Tomorrow. Yesterday. Next week. Now you can do next week or next week. I've seen some people, I personally like next week. It just makes it a little bit clearer. So next week. Last week. Next month. Last month. Next year. Last year. Time 11, 30, just random numbers that as time numbers. So 11 or 12. So just kind of that bouncing up from your palm or your wrist. 12, 1, 2, 3, like that. What was after that? Oh, morning. And you don't have to be so, like, I'm doing it very big because I'm trying to get you to see it. A lot of people just go morning. They'll have it lower, relax. So you can relax. Morning. Then afternoon, coming back up, I'm just going to do that. There we go. Afternoon. Then we have night. Then soon. Oh, so the sign for later. That's one I can do. For especially, I'll show you the sign for see you later. So later can be, you can go later. It's your L, thumbs on your palm, and it's down. Later. One of the cool things I like is that there's kind of almost like how we have dialect, like in the South, we say y'all. So ASL has those kind of forms too, where they don't fully say the word, like don't fully sign the word. So like for good morning, a lot of people don't always do good morning. They'll go good morning. They combine them. And I think that's so cool. So they have the same sort of thing for see you later, because see you later would be like see, which is your V is just like almost like you're looking through. See you later, like later, but they'll go see you later. So here, I'll go slower. Now I'll come closer. So it's just the two fingers tapping the V on top, like right in front of your like eye. So C, and then you slowly just change it to an L and go later. So it's that same L motion, but you're doing it closer to your face. So see you later. All right. Do we need to review any other ones? Are there any other times you guys can think of? So many different signs, all kind of baubles, and I'm trying to make sure I get all the weeks, months, and the time ones. Let's see. Trying to think of another one. Oh, so I can show you how you would sign, like what you would do for the year, like the sign for the year. So like the actual year, and then I'll do like the months, and that's kind of a good end for this one because this is not as complicated as some of the other ones. So when you're signing, I'm freezing. Am I? I think we're good. Okay. Sorry. No one moved for a good bit. And I went, oh no, I think I'm frozen. Happens a lot to me. So I'm very always questioning it. So I apologize if you randomly hear me stop talking. It's more of making sure I'm not talking to no one. So for year, what you do like for the year 2021 is one of the cool things that we now have is you would just do 2021. So 2021. And a lot of people do, like a lot of times I've seen this, and I feel thankfully for like our generation, we won't be having to experience the complicated ones where it gets like 21 and all that. So it's like, it'll just probably be 20, 93, that stuff. But when you're talking about like the year you were born, I'll do mine because it's very complicated. It's not fun to sign. So I do 19 and then 97. So I have to do 3 bounces. 1997. So a lot of people, you just kind of do the bouncing, and it's really cool how smooth it works. But there was actually a really interesting debate that was going on when the year 2000 came around. I did not personally know this, like I didn't have it from experience. My professor, who is a principal at the Mississippi School for the Deaf, said she told us about it, is that everyone was trying to figure out what they're going to sign for the year 2000 because they kept thinking, so 2000, they're like, I mean, that's a lot of work for just saying the year 2000. And so then they thought 2000, like that doesn't sound right. And then I think they just kind of decided on 2000. But more people felt like that was still too much, 2000, but and there was a whole big interesting debate. And we jokingly said in class, well, at least we're not going to be experiencing anything like that. So we're pretty much good. We can have our nice little numbers that we know. So, and then when you're assigning the date, like the months of the year, what you do is you sign, like, how when we shorthand, like the month of January, we do JAN. You do the same thing in finger spelling. You do not have to finger spell out January. No, you just do Jan. And then you would say the date, so like the 18th. And the TH is already kind of like added in. You don't even have to worry about trying to do 18th. Like some will do that if you're like having to like, you're doing a conversation where you have to write it down and you might be like January 18th. But I don't see that really ever. So, and then the same for February is FEB, February. Then we have March. I had to start again. So MAR. And then for April, you finger spell it all out. I know in April we have APR, but they do APRIL. April, May, June, July. Those 4 months you do fully finger spell out. And then August, so AUG. September, oh goodness, I always get September wrong. September, October, November, and then December. I won't lie, December gets me because it's that DEC. And change my E's and my C's. It's always hard to change from there. December, the E and the C. So December. So how are we feeling now? I know I gave y'all a ton of signs, but I feel these are kind of key ones that probably might be some stuff you really would ask a person, like, what time is it? Well, oh, the days of the week again. Okay, perfect. So the days of the week, most of the days are going to be the same, like the sign wise, it's just changing of letter, except for Sunday. So Mondays, again, it's your M. You're going to face forward and you're going to go into circular motion Monday. Then for Tuesday, it's the T facing you again, and then circular motion. Then you have Wednesday, which is the W, again facing this way, circular motion. Thursday is the only one that doesn't go with the actual first letter, but that's because Tuesday already taken the T. So it's I think it's supposed to be like a combination of the U and the H and the U, but so U facing Thursday. Then Friday's F. And then you'll have Saturday, which is the S, and Saturday. So last class session we had, they asked me a really good question about how would you know the difference between Saturday, Tuesday, like certain days, especially with Saturday. So I always try to exaggerate where my thumb is placed. So like for Saturday, I make sure you can see my thumb is sticking up and it's not under any fingers. It's just sticking up. So Saturday. And like for Tuesday, it's not like, just a slight little Tuesday. No, it's Tuesday. Like my thumb is pointing up. And then for, what's the other one? There's Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Monday. So Monday, some people they might relax it. I emphasize like Monday, like my 3 fingers are pretty much pointing up, so that they know that that's the M, Monday. And then we have Sunday or Sunday. Either one's acceptable. A lot of nice things that it's nice and not frustrating, but kind of like harder for new ASL learners is that a lot of signs are you could use this one or you could use this one. Very flexible. And I like that because it helps for people like me. I don't always learn I don't follow the path of how being taught. So that way in high school, did not understand how they were teaching English. And I would stare at them going, I don't get that, but okay. So I like having different ways of communicating and still getting the point across. So, and the only thing I would really emphasize before we go is I'm going to make some videos of practicing the ABCs, is that if all else you can learn in this class, like really learn and know, is your ABCs, that's great. Because ABCs is actually something really important in ASL. Because, for example, if you don't know the word for like the sign for cat and you're like saying, I'm trying to find my cat, but you don't know the sign for cat, you can just fingerspell cat. And I really like that. And then they'll understand what you're talking about. And I really like that because it makes it easier to pick up on new signs and learn, and not just have to sit here and going through a class and learning, but like picking up on signs as you're having a conversation. And I always like that because as me, I'm forgetful. I'm very forgetful of signs sometimes. So I'll be sitting there going, I know this word, don't remember the sign. And so I'll fingerspell the word out to my coworkers and I'll be like, oh, you mean this word? And they'll sign it. I'm like, yeah, that. And they're like, okay, yeah, that's that. And then I'll go on with the conversation. So the letters are very important. And also, if you can tell, they tie in with signs. You know, like the Monday through Saturday, you know, you have to use the letters. And there are different signs that will also use the letters that are very well connected with them. Ooh, excuse me. And so it's just a very important thing to learn the ABCs. And I'm hoping I will try to get 2 different videos. I'm crossing my fingers so y'all will know I'm wishful thinking. I'm hoping it will work. I can get 2 different videos of me signing the ABCs, and that way you guys can practice 2 different ways. I did have one question for you guys. Would you guys like me to do a numbers quiz as well? Or would you rather we focus on the ABCs? Like, which one would y'all prefer? If y'all have any like preference. I mean, I can try to do 3. I just know like 3 is a big thing for, like, that's asking not a lot for me, but I barely could get 2. I couldn't get 2 in this past week. I don't want to be like, oh, I'm going to get you guys as many as I can. And then I don't do as much as I said I could. I would, not could, would. Sorry, it's been a long day. And I was just signing. So trying to explain things in English after signing all day really is hard to do for me. So would y'all just prefer I did 2 videos on ABCs and then maybe do a numbers one like later on? Or would you rather I do 1 ABC video and 1 number video? Like, which would y'all prefer? Both. Okay. Does that sound good to everybody? Doing both, like I do 1 ABCs and then 1 numbers. And if I can, I will maybe try to add another one of the ABCs if I can. I'm wishful thinking, but alrighty. Okay, so we finished a few minutes early. I'm not giving y'all more signs. Refuse to do that because I can see some of y'all are like, I can see you're hitting your limit of, okay, any more signs right now and I think I'm gonna burst. Like, so probably can just end early. Next week, I'll tell you what we're gonna do next week. So next week, I want to give you guys some actual like question words and like locations and how like responses to like questions. So that way you can do a little bit more of like conversations. Because you gotta build yourself. You can't just start coming in signing full blown. Like, no, there's certain ASL's grammar is different from English. And I honestly prefer ASL's grammar to English. I'm not gonna lie. Like, totally, I'm like, man, I wish this was the language I used most as a kid because man, I could get my point across better. But so there are a few different things that we do that is done in ASL that's slightly different, but it's still cool and it still is actually kind of more helpful in my opinion, but we will get to that. Actually, I know what we could do before. If you could tell me what kind of, if there's any specific like things you would like to know, like learn ASL wise. Like I had someone who wanted to learn more like, because see, I do, since I'm a teacher, I know more of the education signs, like the signs for math and multiply, divide, subtract. And I'm more than happy to show you guys those, but I know that it's not something that's most, that's not your everyday, that's not a necessity for every day. But I'm more than happy to provide or try to find or ask someone if I don't know it, the signs for things. I had someone who asked for medical language and I did a few. It's very hard because in the medical field, a lot of it is fingerspelled, which is very exhausting. So I'm like, I'm so glad I'm not a doctor and I'm just a teacher where I have mainly signs. Siri, I'm sorry, my Siri again picked up something. But is there any kind of like specific like area of like you'd be really curious to know like signs for. So I'm trying to just give you like a giant umbrella of signs, but if there's ones that you're like specifically, I'd really like to learn some about this. Okay, so like the actual sign for learn, is that what you mean? Or you just mean like this basic as many beginning sign like many beginning like oh my goodness, beginning
Gillian,
sign.
I think she's saying, how do you say to someone, I'm a beginner at sign language? Is that what you're saying,
okay.
Catherine? I think that's what I think that's what she's saying.
Okay, yes. Okay, so I can do that. I can do that easily. So I'll give you that and then I promise we'll stop. So if you come up to a deaf person there, and I will tell you, sometimes when I took ASL 2 years in high school, and I would go up and meet deaf people, and I would say I would sign to them. Some will get very excited and go, oh, and they will start signing away, and you may go, whoa, and they'll pick up from just your facial expression of, oh, they're still learning. So the way to say I'm just starting, I'm learning, is you could go point to, this is the sign for me. It's also what you would use for when you're saying I. It's not the same sign for I, because I has its own, but this is like, we don't use that. So we just do like me, learn. So palm up. It's almost like you're making the jellyfish. Your jellyfish.
No, it's like you're holding a book and you're scooping. Yes.
That's literally what my teachers always use the example of, is that it's like
Just-
you're grabbing the information and putting it in your brain.
Yes,
I've
that's what
always
I
thought
do
it was
as a
silly.
librarian all day, every day. I just scoop it and it just goes right in. It's so easy.
So you could say, I'm learning, and then you would just finger spell ASL. And a lot of times when you're just saying learning, they might ask how long. And you can just say like, that's when you can do like 2 months. Like I'm still new, like new. So a lot of times when you say I'm learning, you can't say please slow. I've had to do that. I have to do that now. I have some fast talking kids. I mean, they just tap on my shoulder and I'm like, whoa. My brain did not flip fast enough for that. We gotta come back. And so the sign is please slow. And you want to make sure your palm is facing down. So slow. And I'll say most, and I have to say most because it's just like when you go to anywhere, new country, anywhere, is that most people will be understanding and nice about it and will go, okay, and they'll finger spell slow, really try to make sure you are understanding. Some may not, there's always people like that. So it's really just kind of whoever you're with, and that's kind of how it works. And a lot of times they shouldn't, I personally have not seen, I will say that, but I don't feel like a lot of them do get very angry if you don't know the sign for something, because first off, there's a lot of regional signs. So each area, like if I went to New York right now, and I went to I don't even know what the New York School for the Deaf is called, but anyways, I went to their School for the Deaf, and they sign, and I could see them using the sign for the same, like a word I know, but I have no idea what that sign is because it changes. It can change. And so most of the time, most deaf people I've met are very understanding, especially if I'm like, oh, or I'll say like, I'm still learning, or especially if I tell them I'm hearing, they're like, oh, okay. And then they'll kind of slow down. They'll go, so they'll start asking me like, when did I learn? And then I'll explain. But most deaf people are very nice and very sweet. I enjoy them. They are very funny. Oh my goodness. Let me just tell you, deaf jokes are funny. I won't lie. Like the jokes they have are very funny. Sometimes we won't get them, but like they're funny. I'm trying to think of one now. That was a good one.
If y'all get a chance, go back and look at the session 1 classes. There's a video that Google made asking deaf people, like they're reading questions that people Google. And it's things like, do deaf people think? And I mean, it's stupid stuff, but I'm not stupid, but like they're laughing about it and they're explaining, or it's like, do deaf people dream or do deaf people laugh and like stuff like that. And but go watch it. It's about 5 or 6 minutes and it's funny, but it's interesting.
I watch that and I look at it from two perspectives, because for me, like with my kids, I get very like, I'm very like, these are my kids, I'm very protective over them. And so I'll get like this, oh my gosh, that's funny, I can't believe how silly these questions are. And then sometimes I'm like, oh my gosh, this just shows how little is known about ASL in like the hearing world. Like, that's such a big deal, is that, if you go to a public school, and also might I just add that the sign for public school is literally hearing school, and it about kills me every time. I think that is so funny. I can't even lie. Like, it just kills me that this is public school. Whenever I sign it, I just start to think, and I'm like, oh my God, why does that make me laugh? But it makes me laugh. Anyways, is that like in public schools, you may have 3, 4, 5 Spanish teachers, 2 French teachers, a Latin teacher, but there's hardly any ASL teachers. And that just is something that's always so sad to me. And it always gets me, because so many people will be like, I'm interested to learn. Like, I would want to learn this. I want to learn this language. And I feel like that's such a good language to learn, because honestly, like, you don't have to just use it with deaf people. And what I mean by that is it's their language, 100%. But like I'm saying, if like you went scuba diving underwater and you were trying to get something across to someone, you could sign in the water and they could see that. Like, it's that I feel that's something that I've seen them like, that could be a safety thing. And again, that's still their language. I'm trying to make sure it's not like, oh yeah, you can use their language for whatever, but like, it's still their language, their culture. But there are positive things with it too. And I always felt ASL was an easier language to learn, because it is similar, because it uses like the same words. Like, it's not like you're having to try to memorize that the word for red in Spanish is rojo, and if you forget it, you're kind of like, where's the color? And if you have it on, you could be like this and say the sign, the Spanish word for color. But like in ASL, you could just quickly go, I have a red shirt. And they're not going to look at you going, you're looking like an idiot right now trying to say, like, finger spell these words. They're not going to do that, most of them. So I always thought that it was a good language, and it very much upsets me that it's not in public schools. And so I hope with these, like, see, yes. And I was lucky enough to learn ASL in high school. I took 2 years of it, my junior and my senior year. And they just started it my junior year. And I was like, and so many people wanted in this class. Like, it's crazy how many people wanted it. And I lucked out to have it. And I'm so grateful I was able to, because I knew I wanted to be a teacher. I'm sorry, I can hear my dogs. It's driving me crazy. But there we go. I heard someone tell them hush. Anyways, I knew I always wanted to be a teacher, but it was like my senior year of high school, when after 2 years of learning this language and learning about deaf culture, I went to the Alabama School for the Deaf, and I got to sign a story to the kids. And also, if you have to go, guys, I'm sorry, I get on like this whole big pedestal talking. Please feel free to. I will not get my feelings hurt, like, at all. But I went to this Alabama School for the Deaf. I got to sign stories to the kids. And that's kind of where it was the deciding point of, oh my gosh, I love this and I want to work with this in my career. So I just wish that there were more classes provided, which is why I'm doing this. And you guys are our second session, and there's going to be still mistakes and still a learning process. But I'm hoping, because I've seen so many Google ads now. There's like 3 or 4 I've seen that they're having ASL involved in the ads. And it's funny, because if any of my friends see them, they immediately send them to me. They're like, I saw this and I thought of you, because they all know that they're like, oh, if I see anybody signing, I immediately think of you and I'll text you. Oh my gosh, hey, there's deaf people here. Like, I went to an event like on Saturday, and we saw some deaf people sign, and my friends saw some deaf people signing, and they like came at my shoulder so fast. I'm like, look, they're signing. And I was like, okay, first off, put that finger down. Don't you be pointing at them. And then they would ask me, what are they saying? What are they saying? And I looked at them and said, I don't want to look. And they're like, why? And I'm like, because that's being a snoop. It's the same thing as listening in on a conversation. I had to catch myself doing that because in the beginning when I was learning it, I was like, oh, I want to watch their signs because it's like I'm practicing I'm testing myself. I'm trying to learn, understand it myself. But then after a while, I realized I'm like, this is the same thing as like listening in on someone's conversation, except you can't even be sneaky about it because you have to have eye contact on it. Like when you're listening, you can totally pretend like your ears are just open, you know? But when you're like looking at someone having a conversation in ASL, you are full blown watching. But okay, I know we went over time. I apologize. It's very easy for me to get on like
It
a whole
was
soapbox.
fun. You're fun to listen to, Gillian.
I can talk on and on, especially when it comes to ASL. So y'all have a great night. And
Okay.
I will see you guys next week. And I will have those videos up
Yay.
by this Sunday.
Now,
I'm giving
I'll
myself
send you guys the videos tomorrow and or the link to the videos. They'll be up tomorrow with all the timestamps.
All righty.
Okay.
Sounds good. Y'all have a great week.
Bye, y'all.